is the beginning of our departure checklist. We come on the boat for 10 days every month, and when we leave, there's quite a bit of stuff you have to do to leave your boat for 3 weeks. So the first thing we do is secure the dinghy and flush the motor. And here comes the motor flushing. Next, for putting the dinghy away, you take the key out and you shut off the battery. Because this dinghy has a battery. So you turn it off so that it doesn't die. And then we lock our dinghy to the boat right here from this cable lock. And then we disable the harness that lowers the dinghy into the water. So, and then the last thing we'll do now is put the cover on.
Okay.
So the next thing we have to do to leave is we have to take the main halyard off the sail and secure it, and then we have to zip up the sail cover and put the front cover on. So that's what we're going to do now. In order to get the sail cover on, I got to get it pushed down into the stack pack. Back up a little. And this always looks weird, but you can do this. So then once the cover's on, you gotta secure this cover, which prevents sun damage. So that's the sail cover. So now we're taking down our flag, because they get pretty trashed after a month. Now the American flag we leave up because those colors don't rock. Okay. The other thing you need to do before you leave the boat is get it clean. Like what's going on here.
Yeah.
Wave to the camera.
Hello, how are you doing?
See, he's given the boat a good bath with soap and water, and we've got some women on the inside giving the inside a nice bath. So they are helping us get this place cleaned up in all the nooks and crannies. So the next thing we do here is we lock our external hatches. We removed the hatches that Leopard gave us here, and we installed hatches with keys because we've got electric bikes and scuba gear and all that sort of thing. So all the external lazarettes we lock with a key. Can you do the honors? Look how good that was. Locked. Then we move the paddle boards under the front here, and this way they're not in the sun for a month while we're gone. Okay, next thing we do is we check all the fenders. We actually had to put air in these fenders because they lose air over time, and if they're not at full capacity, they won't protect the boat if a serious blow comes. And so now we're checking all our dock lines to make sure they're all secured so that the boat is doesn't get damaged in a high wind, and that it's here when we get back. So the next thing we do when we leave is we take our scuba tanks and we lock them up with a cable lock so that nobody can remove them from the boat. When we're in questionable marinas, we actually take the scuba tanks and put them on the inside of the boat. But this is a very secure one, so we're fine leaving it obvious. So the next thing we do is we disable the winch for the dinghy so that nobody can lower it and get the dinghy off the boat, and we disable the windlass. And those are both done by flipping these switches here. And then we disable the batteries for the engine, because right now the way the Leopard is set up, there's no keys to the motor. You can just, anybody can jump on your boat and start the engine. I know that seems weird, but that's how it is. So they have battery switches down here by each engine, and so we turn those to off, and now somebody would have to be able to get inside the boat in order to turn those on to start the boat. I noticed that was already turned. You already did both of them. My co-captain is ahead. The next thing we do is we take valuables like our satellite phone and handheld VHF and our night vision scope, and we put them in our safe. And our safe is a steel box that's actually welded to a crossbeam on the boat and has a digital control. So it's pretty secure. So here on the panel, I take my inverter and I turn it to charger only mode, because if it's in inverted mode and the power went out on the dock, then all the systems in the boat would drain my batteries. And I'd rather not have that happen. So you can adjust your inverter to either be a battery charger or an inverter. And I just turn it into battery charger when we leave. So now we go to all the hatches in the boat, like this one here. And if these red clips are off like this, then you can, excuse me, they were off, then you can open the hatch. But we don't want somebody opening our hatches and breaking onto the boat. So we close them, and then we close those red tabs, and then the hatches are secure and nobody can open them from the top. Now after we've used our anchor and we're getting ready to leave town, it's important to wash it down. Your windlass and all the components get loaded with salt water, as you can imagine, and your chain hook. And salt is just one big corrosion chemical. And by rinsing all the salt off of that and down here on the chain, you prevent the chain and the rest of the components rusting out too early. Because we have a washer and dryer, we have a dryer vent. Need to remember to close the top of the dryer vent when you're leaving, so rainwater doesn't get in your washing machine. And the next thing we do here is we remove our microphone right here. This is our remote VHF, and this is an easy device for somebody to steal. So we remove that and lock it inside. We cover all of our instruments with the covers, and then we put the helm cover on. Go ahead and that protects all of our electronics from sun and rain. As if our list wasn't over yet. The next thing we do is, when you have these fridges on boats, they accumulate a lot of ice. And when you have them turned down when you're on the boat to try to keep them cold, because you're opening and closing them and putting warm beer and cokes in there. But when you leave for a month, you got to turn it down to about halfway. Otherwise, when you come back, this thing will be frozen, the beers will be frozen, and the cokes will have exploded. And when you're leaving the boat for a month, you need to put the blue stuff in the toilets. Because you need to fill the holding tanks with a enzyme and deodorant when you're going to be gone and not running water through them. Then we have to take the cushions off the boat, and there's a ton of them on the Catamaran, and they are all stuffed up in this forward stateroom. That keeps them out of the sun and has them fresh and clean when we come back. And then you have to empty the water from the Keurig because we've forgotten before, and it's nasty when you come back. And of course, we pull down all the shades on the boat so that the sun is kept out of the boat and it's dark, including our kitchen shades. This prevents anybody from jumping on the boat and looking inside to see what's here. So then we install a lockbox on the boat with a combination, and we put a key to the boat in it. And that way, if something happens and somebody needs to get in the boat, we can give them the key. They need to get in there and do maintenance. If not, we keep our boat locked up and we don't give anybody access to it. Now, when shutting down the panel, the first thing we do is turn the air conditioners into dehumidify mode. It would be expensive to be running 3 air conditioners non-stop on the dock, and some people, when they leave their boat, turn all the airs off. But we don't want our boat getting hot and stinky and mildewy, so if you put them in the humidity mode, they run for about 30 minutes every 6 hours, and that keeps the boat smelling good and fresh when you get back to it. And then finally, we turn off all the power devices that we don't need, including the freshwater pump. We don't want a constant source of pressure on the pump and the plumbing fixtures. So we turn off the freshwater pump when we're gone. And we're almost done. We set the alarm, which we do here. And now the boat is armed, and it sends a text message to me when it's armed and if it goes off. And we always lock the boat and set the alarm before we leave town. And don't forget to take out your ice and dump it and turn off your ice maker. And finally, and I know this has been boring, unless you have a boat that you're planning on leaving, which some of you do, I know, because I know who subscribes to my YouTube channel. The last thing I will tell you, and we have forgotten to do this, is when you're leaving and heading for the plane, take out the garbage and put it outside, because it's nasty if you forget and leave it in here for a month. So that is our departure checklist. I have it all on my phone, and every time we leave the boat, we scroll through this entire list, all of which I just showed you now. And the whole process for Lenny and I takes about 3 hours to shut the boat down, but it's okay if we come in and use it for a week and it takes some time to get it put to bed. And we've been leaving our boat every month for 4 years now, so we have a lot of experience with this. And if you have any questions about what I've shown you or how we do things, shoot me an email at randy@svhappytogether.com.